Number one, it's easy to get off of your routine. You don't have that same force that's driving you when you're working like a full-time job. You go to the same place 5 days a week, roughly at the same time, and you get off roughly at the same time as well. It's really easy to build a routine around that. You can build a morning routine before work, an evening routine after work, and maybe even a routine during your lunch break. However, you really don't have that once you retire early. And I've definitely learned this the hard way. I've gotten off track on my routines so many times because there's so many different things that I can do at different times. And once you have a few days in a row that are very different from the last ones, it's really hard to just kind of get back on track and try to build your own routine and start from scratch. At least that's been my experience. For example, right before making this video, I went on a really awesome trip for over 2 weeks, going up through the eastern seaboard all the way up to Maine and Acadian National Park. And while I had a fantastic time and I have no regrets that I did that trip, it's been really hard for me to get back in a routine after coming back. And of course, while I was on the trip itself, everything was so different, things were changing so much that it was really hard to kind of have any kind of sort of routine there as well. It was purely pretty much dedicated to travel at that point. Now, while it's been almost 3 years since I retired early, I want to make sure that you've seen my other video where I go over my journey to financial independence, how I achieved it, and what kind of lifestyle I'm living in early retirement. I'll share that video with you at the end of this video. But getting on to number two, another thing that I learned the hard way is that it's not easy to say that you're retired to someone else, especially when you're in my age demographic. When you're in my age range, it's really hard to meet someone and say, yeah, I'm pretty much retired early. It's just something that you don't do. It's very socially awkward to do that. And even though it's been about 3 years since I've been living this kind of lifestyle, it's still difficult for me to introduce myself to new people that I meet and say something along those lines that I'm kind of retired early or that I'm not working a regular job. And I thought that was something that was going to get easier as time goes by. I thought it would be easier for me to be a little bit more confident and say, yeah, well, I retired early. This is how I did it, and this is what I'm doing now. But that is far from the truth. That's not been my experience. Even though it's been 3 years since I retired early, I still say that I work in internet marketing, which is one fancy way of saying I make YouTube videos, right? All right, now number three, even though I have been retired for about 3 years and it's still hard for me to introduce myself as being retired, one more thing that I have learned about myself is that I might actually go back to work one day. I don't know what I'm gonna do, what kind of job I'm gonna pursue, if it's gonna be part-time, full-time, very flexible hours, seasonally, I don't know just yet. But when I first retired early, I was so adamant about, hey, I never want to work a regular W-2 job again. I never want to receive a W-2 again. But now as time has gone by, I've realized that it may not really be that bad. Maybe it's just the jobs that I've been working previously that I wouldn't want to go back to. Maybe it's that kind of work. But there can be some other kind of work that I might want to pursue in the future. I don't have 100% like a plan for that just yet, but I'm not going to rule it out completely like I thought I was going to, like when I was seeking early retirement and right after I retired early. Going back to work in the future is something that I am not ruling out anymore. Now, if you could do me a quick favor really quick, if you're enjoying this video so far, if you're enjoying these reasons, please make sure you hit the like button on this video because it really does help me out and I would really appreciate that. Moving on to number four, perhaps one of the biggest realizations that I have had in early retirement is that it is so easy to waste time, especially when you have a lot more time than most people. Most people work in a regular career, they go to work for at least 8 hours and they have an hour before and an hour after maybe while they're getting ready and unwinding from work. And in that time before that and after that, there's lots of opportunities to waste time, right? You might be really tired from work and so you come home and put on the television or scroll through social media or something like that. And that's one way that people waste a lot of time. But that aspect of wasting valuable time can be multiplied when you have more free time, aka when you're retired early. We all have 24 hours in the day. And when you are financially independent and you retired early, if you're not filling some of that extra time that you have with valuable activities, hobbies, with exercise, with learning, with socializing, really important things like that, then you could be wasting your time on things like excessive social media, excessive TV watching, or yes, even excessive YouTube. So this is one thing that I really definitely have to look out for in my life because it's so easy for me to waste time and just lose track of time by getting sucked into some of these things. And that's something that I want to improve even 3 years after retiring. Number 5 on this list, another thing I've learned the hard way, is that even though you are retired, most of the people that you know, most of your friends and family, they're probably not going to be be retired. They're probably not going to be financially independent unless you're, working along this goal together and you have similar timelines. And therefore, if you want to do stuff like socializing stuff with your regular friends and family, then you're going to still have to work around their schedules, which might be a regular 9 to 5 schedule or something completely different. The point is that your friends and family might still have, regular work commitments. And therefore, if you want to hang out with them, socialize with them, do activities with them, you're still going to have to work around that regular work schedule. So you're going to have to fit your schedule to work around their schedule because they're not going to be able to alter their schedule to fit your schedule. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that wasn't too much of a word salad. But yes, your day might still have to accommodate those workplace hours if your friends and family aren't retired like you are. This is definitely one thing that I've had to deal with in my own life. I don't think this is as difficult as some of the other things that I've learned because I can take care of plenty of other things that I want to on my own during those regular working hours, and I can work on my goals during those times, and I can still socialize and spend time with others while accommodating that, regular work schedule. Before I get into number 6, this leads me to the big question here. I want to know from you in the comments below. What is something that you've learned the hard way when it comes to financial independence, when it comes to planning for retirement, or if you're already retired, being retired? What is something that you have learned the hard way that you did not expect previously? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. And now number 6 on my list, plans change, goals change, life changes. And sometimes quite dramatically. This is something that I did not foresee before I retired and while I was pretty much in my first year of retirement. I thought that I had a solid plan. I thought that, my mind wasn't going to change very much. I thought my goals weren't going to change very much. I thought I was going to live this very certain kind of lifestyle, maybe in perpetuity for many, many years. But in just 3 short years, which is really a small amount of time, so much has changed in my own life. And of course, a lot of that was brought on by my own decisions. And that's because my mind has changed a lot over these past 3 years. My mind on, what I want to do with my finances, what I want to do with my life and my free time and all this kind of stuff has changed quite dramatically. And that is so much different than what I believed prior to retiring early. Prior to retiring early, I thought I was going to live this, very set kind of life. And now I've seen that I'm not going to be living that set kind of life. My goals now, my lifestyle now, and how I want my life to change in the future now is so much different than what I thought it was going to be in the past. And I think that you're probably going to experience that as well when it finally comes time for you to retire early, become financially independent, or just regular retirement. And that's perfectly okay. But now I want to make sure that you have seen this other video that I made, okay? Because I made another video a little while back that goes over my entire journey to financial independence, and I want to share that with you. If you haven't watched that video, please make sure you watch that video, okay? It's going to pop up on the screen right after I get off the screen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from OnCashflow.com, and I hope to see you next time. Catford.